Beginning. Center.
So in this video, I'm going to talk about editing an existing object in the quiz generator in Course Plus. And this is especially useful to do when you carry things forward from previous years of a course, like a homework assignment or a quiz, and you want to keep some aspects of it, but want to change others. The structure for this has already been built and set up, but you need to go in and delete some items and add some other items. And so what I'm doing is I'm working on a homework assignment that I'm updating from a previous year's version, and I've kept some of the questions I used last year, but I'm updating some of them with newer items. And so what I'm going to take you through today is I'm going to show you how to add new questions, get rid of the old ones you want to get rid of, and then reorder things so they match up with your plan. So the first thing I'm going to do is go via this Faculty Tools Quick Jump to the quiz generator. And this will give me a list of all the quizzes I have for my course. And you see I have a lot because I use this for many things: homeworks, review questions, other things. It's a multi-versatile tool that doesn't just need to be used for quote-unquote quizzes. And I'm working on this item called Homework 1 Part B. And it's already got a bunch of, I've made some edits already. It's got some questions that I've changed already from last year's version. It's got some things I want to hold over, and it has some things I want to get rid of. But it's also missing some things I'd like to add. So let's get started with this. So the first thing I like to do is I'm going to add the questions I want to add. Then I'll go in and deal with getting rid of the ones I don't want and rearranging things so that it matches my order. The way I tend to do my assignments, just FYI, is I create them in a word processing document like Word. I have them all so that I can give them to students as a document, Word or PDF, but then I also translate them into quiz generator objects. Some of the questions, one section of the quiz, all of the responses are automatically scored. They're either multiple choice or fill in the for numerical range fill in that can be checked against a key automatically, and that's so I can give students almost immediate feedback on one portion of the assignment because these terms go quickly. Then another portion of the assignment includes open-ended questions that I also filter through the quiz generator in another separate object, but these have to be graded and can be efficiently graded via the quiz generator by the TAs for the course. But that takes longer, of course, because it requires human involvement. So there's these two pieces, one that's instantaneous in terms of feedback and one that gives them a little more ownership over how they phrase responses and think about it by doing open-ended questions. So anyway, what I find helpful is because I've already written these out, at least the questions, I want to cut and paste them into the quiz generator. I also like to make the quiz generator object a freestanding thing such that students would not have to consult a Word document or PDF if they did not want to. Now, you can decide whether you want to do that or not. You can use the quiz center as just a repository for answers, but they still need to refer to text and graphics and such on the PDF document, or you can wrap everything in to the quiz generator, which does take a bit more work. So to get started, a couple things I find helpful. The set of questions is about a graphic I pulled from an article. I've already saved this as a JPEG that I pasted in my Word document. I'm also going to pull it into quiz generator questions. And let me just show you, there's a setup for this that I have. Quiz generator and Word disagree with each other. I'm using Word here. You may use a different word processor, but they don't like each other and they don't always agree in terms of copying and pasting text from one application to another. So I tend to go and paste this to start through an intermediary in a flat text editor, a basic text editor that doesn't keep the formats and such from Word, and then I paste that piece into the quiz generator. So this first question, the build up to it, is this paragraph here with this graphic, and then I have several questions that I'll ask questions based upon that preliminary information. So I've cut and paste this prologue, the text for the prologue and the text for some of these questions into my flat text editor, and I have the graphic stored as a JPEG or a PNG that I can import directly into a quiz generator field. So let's go back to my quiz 1 page here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Question Manager. Click on that. And what I want to do is start creating new questions. So what I'm going to create here is a multiple choice question, but you can see I have a bunch of different questions I can choose from: true, false, matching from two lists, fill in the blank, numerical value with an optional range, essay question, or I can just put in a non-question text blocks for like something I want them to read as part of this and I want to embed in the quiz generator. So I have to select the type I want to do. I'm going to do for this one a multiple choice question, and I get this setup, this field here that's going to allow me to first put the text of the question in and then my potential answers. So I'm going to do this toggling here where I cut and paste my prologue first. So it's a process, it is. Actually, I didn't want to cut that. I just want to copy it because I'll be coming back to it. And I'll paste this in. Right? And now I can't paste figures directly, and I have to need to import them directly to the object. So this can be a time-consuming process if you have multiple questions with figures or the same figure that you want to repeat in the prologue for multiple questions. I can navigate. There's tools up here. One of them, I can embed a video, which I'm not going to do. This is for embedding an image. So I'm going to do this, navigate to my folder, and I happen to be already at that folder. I had used this, I need to rename this file, but it was called Screenshot 2020. Right now I need to rename it to something more useful so that I'll remember what that is. But for the moment, we'll take that. I know that's the box plots. And right now, you need to put text in here, a text phrase describing what this is in this field here, but it is required. So I'm going to say graphic with side by side box plots, and that's all I'll put there for now. We'll do this, it'll take a moment. And now that's embedded in there. And I may want to resize that so it's not so big, but it puts that in there nicely. And now I'm going to add the text of the actual question I want to ask after this lengthy prologue. And I'm going to cut and paste it from my paste. I like to bold the question part. And I'm going to put my choice of answers here and put them in. And the correct answer here, don't tell anyone, is 40 to 70%. I do need to choose at least one correct answer choice, but I don't have to. If I choose only one correct answer choice, the implication is that there's only one correct answer of the quiz, but I can choose more than one, and then it'll ask me, it'll say you have marked more than one answer. The grading criteria for this, to get it correct, can the student choose any or must they select all of them? So just heads up. If you want to provide a hint for answering the question, enter it here. You can put read the question, something like that. If you want to put an answer, correct answer, this actually won't appear until in their what they see. It'll appear after you return feedback. You can tag these questions with words, so I might want to put box plots because I ask questions related to box plots. I may want to pull at some point from a pool of questions related to that. I can attach a file to this. I used to attach the PDF file that I spoke of earlier and not include graphics and such in the fields, but I find it's better for students to include that information. And if you wanted to describe that file, you could do that with a word like copy of homework or whatever it is. But I'm going to add this. And now I've actually added this question in my quiz, and I'll go back. It will add it it'll add it at the end of wherever the quiz ended previously. So this is my question here. Again, I will go back and resize this diagram, this graphic, so it doesn't take up so much real estate in the picture, but here it is. And what I see here on my instructor's preview view is the correct answer highlighted. But I can keep doing this, and I'll certainly forward through a lot of this or won't show it, but I'm going to keep going on this, and then we'll come back and talk about how to reorder these things to appear where I want them to in the item and also get rid of the questions I didn't want before. So now let's come back to the quiz generator and get rid of some of the older questions that I don't want to use for this year's version. And then we'll put the questions I just added, we'll rearrange them to put them where I want them to appear in the order of questions. So let's just take a look here and I'll show you what I want to do. I want to get rid of the questions that start with, they have these other box plots. I'm updating my one of my box plot questions. It starts at question 25 and goes through in the current numbering question 32. And those are what I want to get rid of. I'm going to go back to my question manager here. Click on that in the top here. And get the screen here. And I'm going to click on the sub-tab here that says Add, Remove, Edit Questions. And now that I've done this, I have a list of all the questions in their full glory with the oversized graphs. And notice that next to each one of them is a button that's been clicked. It's checked on now, but I can unclick that, which will allow me to start the process of removing the item from this particular quiz object. So I do that, and it's going to ask me, would I like to delete this question from the question bank as well? And I can do that and it will remove it from this entire Course Plus site. But if I don't do that, it will remove it from this quiz item, but we'll keep it in a repository where I could pull it back at some point, a pool of questions where I could pull it into another quiz generator item if I wanted. So if I want to reuse this at some other point, I probably shouldn't delete it from that repository. And so I'm not going to do that for any of these questions, as I may want to reuse them for some other item. And so now this is very important. Before I can move on, I feel like at this point I've unchecked the boxes and actually deleted these questions from the quiz. But unless I go ahead and save the changes I made, and this is really important, I've failed to do this on many occasions and had to redo my work. Unless I go up to the top here and click this tab that says Update Quiz on the upper right, these changes won't be saved and the questions won't be deleted from this quiz item. So if there's one thing you take from this video, it's that when you go into these submenus in the quiz generator, figure out what you need to click to save your work. Make sure that you've done it before moving forward. Okay, now to take care of the... And so now let's scroll down here and we can see that those questions, and I'm doing this quickly, but they no longer appear. I meant to get rid of question 25. I failed to do so. I will do that off camera, but I will go back and do the same approach to get rid of that question. But now let's talk about taking those questions that I just put in, those new box plot questions, and moving them to where I want them to appear in this new series of questions that I added to start the numbering system at 26 and proceed that set of questions that currently is starting at question 26. So I'm putting these in, or inserting these 7 new questions in, starting at position 26, and then bumping those other questions to appear after this new series. That's what I want to do. In order to do this, I'm going to have to go back to that question manager where I had gone to delete questions previously. Go back here, and notice I don't actually have to click on any of these tabs on the left. The first screen I get taken to when I click on that question manager is the screen where I actually do the reordering. What I have here are all the questions in the order that they currently exist, and they're all clickable and swipeable, and I'm going to swipe with my mouse pad. It's tactilely tricky for me, but you all have your ways of doing this. It's you sort of have to do your mouse in such a way that you click on the item, grab it, and then you're going to move it up or down depending on where you want it to appear in the order. So I'm going to start with this first one in the new series of questions I added, which currently occupies position 33, and I want to move this up to take the place of position 26. So again, it's a tactile endeavor. I sometimes have trouble with it, but I have to click on this, grab it, and move it upwards on my mouse pad to place it where I want, which is right after question number 25 as it occurs now. Now, luckily, while I'm doing this, it keeps its original numbering just so as a reference point I can find the other pieces and put them in order behind it. But this process, I'm not going to lie, I have difficulty with the gripping and pulling, and sometimes we'll fast forward through my finishing this. But now I take that next one that was question 34 previously, and I want to put it in position 27 after what I've just put in position 26, but it's still labeled with its original numbering and will continue to be until I straighten this out. So I'll fast through my fumbling here, but it sometimes is a several step process to get these things to where I want to go with the touchpad controls. And finally, again, as with the other menus we looked at within the quiz generator, I can't emphasize this enough. I have to save my changes by clicking, in this case, for this screen, on the button that says Update Quiz. And I've missed this many times and had to go and redo the ordering. As I said, sometimes the tactile part's difficult for me, so that's not trivial. So I get that message that pops up that says the reordering has occurred and been saved, and that's validating, of course. So I'm back to the setup here. I'm looking at the quiz overview, and I can go down now and see if everything worked as planned, and spoiler alert, it did. And I can let's just scroll down really quickly here. And here is question 26 now, and starts that new series of questions about these histograms from an article published in Spatial and Spatial Temporal Epidemiology. So everything worked out like I already gave away before. So hopefully, if you're going to be doing editing with Quiz Generator and had some questions about this, hopefully this answers some of your questions. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.